Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, it's warm and I'm dressed with a single layer, and that seems to be about right. There are all sorts of stories today that are depressing and sad. There are a couple of good ones, like Biden says that Meadows, former chief of staff to Trump, is worthy of contempt. That's good, pushing back on those people that can't figure out up from down and think maybe Meadows shouldn't be prosecuted. But I've been struck with another thing, because I've been watching, as probably you have, how people are handling the season. And, they all talk about, oh, this is a hallowed season. Really? It's a hallowed season, and it's just jam-packed with crass commercialism. Who can get the biggest, shiniest tree? Cutting down trees, just killing trees instead of getting potted trees. That's a good thing. So, okay, let's take Christmas at face value. What is it really about? What is it supposed to be about? Well, we have a couple. The woman is pregnant. She's not yet married. She's a maiden. They're traveling across the Mideast to Bethlehem because they're required to do so, because they're taking account of the people. And this couple, when they get to Bethlehem, they have no place to stay. And they're turned away by people as they seek to find lodging while they're there. And they don't have any food, and she's about to give birth. And the best they can do, according to the story, is, sleep where the animals do, surrounded by other animals. And that's the story. So how does our private or public behavior complement that story? Well, I believe, probably everybody who's listening or thinking about what I'm saying believes, that we should provide homeless with housing. We should make sure no one goes hungry. A young pregnant woman, in or out of wedlock, we have to help her if she decides to have a child, just as we would help a woman who wanted to have an abortion. Do the Republicans believe that? No. Do you hear them talk out about it? No. What they call socialism is what the Bible teaches is charity and love. Do they follow what Matthew wrote was the Sermon on the Mount? No. Blessed are the poor, for they are the children of God. What about any of those things? So, I'm not religious, but I am, a humanist, I suppose. I am spiritual, but I've found that very few churches embrace social action. Tip O'Neill used to say that when he passed legislation that took care of the poor and the homeless, the people who needed food and so forth, he was serving both masters, because that legislation satisfied the directives from the Sermon on the Mount by Jesus and his religion, and he was a practitioner. And it also satisfied the voters from his congressional district. How many Republicans can say that? So what is our role? Well, our role is to continue to push Manchin, for example, to help Biden pass a bill that he believes is within the definition of the soul of America, that was lost in Charlottesville, that he seeks to fight to bring back. And Manchin prevents it, because Manchin's not a worthy person. What are we going to do? We have to tell people what we think, because most elected officials are basically cowards. They're afraid to lose what Mel Brooks would call their phony baloney jobs. And we have to tell them, what exactly we want them to do, because then they may do it out of fear of losing their job, not necessarily for the right reason. But I don't really care about their motives, although I would hope that they were of a higher orientation than their own base personal survival in politics. Crazy. Okay, so when we've done that, what do we have? Well, it's been a year. We've probably gotten all the presents we could ever get for anybody we ever cared about, which is part of the crass commercialism. So what we have to do is find a time to sit down, maybe with a cheap wine or a really good champagne, and talk with the one that we love the most, and talk to our children and be with them as much as you can. And figure out what you're going to do next year for yourself, for your family, not for these assholes in Congress, not for any of those people. And when you decide what those things are privately and you decide what you want publicly, well, the public things you talk about, you do emails, you contribute, you do that stuff. But the family work, that's real soul work. That's what we all have to work at, because we know each other so much. In my experience, and I've been divorced a couple of times, it strikes me that the primary cause of divorce is that the two become so involved in other things that one day they look up at each other and they say, you look like somebody I know, but I don't know you anymore, because worthy people are changing all the time. And if you're not changing with them, each in your own way, you lose that connection that made your first meeting, kiss, dance, weekend away so special. And we're not going to go back to that, but we can have another Richardus. And so I'm going to do my soul work over the end of the year, and probably put up a tree or something out of habit, just like my friends in the old neighborhood who were Jewish would put up Hanukkah bushes, because the kids didn't understand the distinction between the religions. Okay, I understand all of that, but that's partly a play. The real important stuff comes from the heart. When in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least, and then I think on thee, and none of the other stuff matters. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.